History is full of figures who seem born for the battlefield, and then there are those who are thrust into it, kicking and screaming against their every belief. This is the story of a man from the quiet hills of Tennessee, a man whose faith commanded him not to kill, who somehow found himself in the heart of the deadliest war the world had ever seen. He begged not to go, but when the moment came, he did something so incredible, it sounds like it was ripped from a movie script. This is the story of Alvin York. This was a devout Christian who on his draft card wrote, "Yes, don't want to fight." His plea to be considered a conscientious objector denied. And yet, on a single day in France, this man who didn't want to harm a soul would end up killing over 20 enemy soldiers and single-handedly capturing 132 more. This is the story of his moral crisis and the unbelievable showdown that would make him a legend. Alvin York was born in a log cabin in Pall Mall, Tennessee, the third of 11 children in a family that was no stranger to poverty. Growing up, his whole world was the mountains, and his rifle was just a tool for putting food on the table, and yet he got very, very good with it. After his father died, York worked as a blacksmith and a laborer to support his family. For a while, though, he was known more for his heavy drinking and bar fights. But in 1915, a religious conversion changed everything. He joined the Church of Christ and Christian Union, a denomination with a strict code that forbid violence. He quit his old ways cold turkey and became a respected leader in his church. So when America entered World War I and a draft notice showed up, York was staring down an impossible choice. His faith was crystal clear: thou shalt not kill. He filed for conscientious objector status, but because his church wasn't officially recognized as a pacifist, his appeal was denied. Torn between his country and his God, he was eventually persuaded by his commanding officers, who cleverly used scripture to argue for the idea of a just war, that he could serve without losing his soul. York was assigned to the 88th 2nd Division and was shipped off to France in 1918. All the stories he heard about the horrors of industrial warfare were now his reality. He was a man at war with himself, a sharpshooter who didn't want to hurt anyone. He later wrote in his diary, "I didn't want to kill any more than I had to, but it was they or I." On October 8th, 1918, during the Meuse-Argonne offensive, that internal conflict came to a boiling point. York, now a corporal, was part of a small patrol of 17 men ordered to neutralize a German machine gun nest that had their entire regiment pinned down. After a wrong turn, they accidentally ended up behind enemy lines. A quick firefight resulted in a small group of Germans surrendering, but not before they signaled for help. Suddenly, from a ridge above them, German machine guns erupted with a furious barrage. The effect was devastating. York described it as watching his friends go down like the long grass before the mowing machine at home. In just a few moments, 9 of his fellow soldiers were killed or wounded, including all the ranking officers. With his superiors down, York was suddenly in a command of 7 remaining men. What happened next is the stuff of legend. While his men guarded the prisoners they already taken, York advanced with a machine gun all by himself. He was completely exposed. As he put it, "I didn't have time to dodge behind a tree or dive into the bush." So, the skills he perfected hunting turkeys back in Tennessee just took over. He calmly and methodically started picking off the German gunners one by one. Every time a German soldier peeked over the ridge to aim, York would take him down. Seeing this one man causing so much chaos, a German lieutenant ordered 5 of his men to charge York with bayonets. York didn't flinch. He just switched to his pistol and recalled a turkey hunting trick. You shoot the bird in the back of the flock first, so the ones in the front don't panic. He shot all 5 charging soldiers, from last to first, before they could even get close. The German lieutenant, having emptied his own pistol at York with no effect, could only assume he was facing a much larger American force. He offered to surrender. York accepted. He and his tiny band of 7 men marched their prisoners back to the American lines, capturing even more Germans along the way. When they finally arrived, they had a staggering 132 prisoners with them. For his actions that day, Alvin York was promoted to sergeant and awarded to the Medal of Honor, along with nearly 50 other decorations from Allied nations. He returned to the United States as the greatest civilian soldier of the war and undisputed national hero. But here's the thing about Alvin York. He refused to cash in on his fame, turning down countless endorsement deals that would have made him rich. Instead, he went right back to the simple life he knew in Tennessee. He dedicated the rest of his life to his community, founding an agricultural institute to bring better education to the children of his rural home. Though he was immortalized in the 1941 film Sergeant York, he always said he'd rather be remembered as an educator than a soldier. His story is an incredible reminder that the greatest heroes aren't always the ones looking for a fight. Sometimes, they're the ones forged in the most unlikely of circumstances, a symbol of courage for generations to come.